Hosted by Mike, the Big Cheese.
Yeah, right, welcome back to the Heavy Metal Mayhem Radio Show. It is December 15th, 2024. We're inching closer and closer to the end of this year. I can't believe it. 2 more weeks left and it's 2025. I never thought I'd live to see that number. I'm hoping to get to like the 35, 45. I hope God gives me the 55, but hey, you never know. Hey, what a great show we got for everybody tonight. Danny, Chad, Gunnar, and Scotty of Wicked are on tonight's show. We have one more live guest left next weekend, and that's it for the year. We'll be back in January with new guests and hopefully another great year of music from those classic 80s bands putting out killer records. This was another great year. So maybe the last week of the show, we're doing a hair metal special like we do for every New Year's Eve show, but maybe we'll try to mix in some of the new albums, or maybe we'll do that next week and we'll focus on some of the albums that came out in 2024. Right there, Agent Steel, Mad Locust Rising. Man, it was a time when that band was really, really good. You know, the Skeptics Apocalypse record, the Mad Locust Rising, Unstoppable Force, all great records. You know, today the band's kind of a joke, and that's about all I'll say on that topic. I mean, there were some good records that came out that didn't have John Cyrus in the band, but I never really considered it to be classic Agent Steel. Nothing could top those first three albums. The two albums and the EP, I should say. Ah, good times. All right, let's get back to the music here. How about we do some Traitor, Feel the Steel.
Baby, it's not love, it's all lust and fire. the gauntlets. You'll see 11-1, the famous fighting wrestler all 1990 years long. The opponent, locally strong like a horse. Halo of demons and forgetting no remorse. The Red Bull to a summary when I went into the ring. Doors all there in the sea and begins fighting. And last it goes head and power all remains. Which is what I can read, which is that will keep us free. Sailing home, witches and the serpents of the sea like doom. When the goldie was locked it, they mute for killed. Gold is all they hold, the bloody dread of the wild. And the castle of the lost souls, who got the agony. There is only one chance, to bring them to set them free. The lost battle in Spitfire, and the mountains for the beast. They got only one besides to free their unleashed.
All right, Invader, March for Victory. Before that, Udio with Streets of Fire, and we started things off with Traitor and Feel the Steel. You know, there are a couple of things that are really chapping at my ass this weekend. We're going to get to all of them throughout the course of the show. We're going to get to Wiccan in about, what time is it? We're going to get to Wiccan in about 20 minutes or so. But before then, one of the things that are really grinding my gears this week is awards and award shows don't really mean anything to me. I mean, if I'm in my late 50s. If you grew up in the 60s and 70s, maybe even the 50s, we grew up with award shows on TV like the Emmys, the Oscars, the Grammys, the People's Choice Awards, because we only had about 7 channels back then. We didn't have cable TV, at least not here in New York. I grew up in Brooklyn. So you only had channels 2 to 13, and those award shows were a big deal. They came on as like a big production, but awards in heavy metal music never made sense to me. And I know people get all worked up every single year when the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame comes out with the list, and there's no metal bands on. And if there is, there's usually one, and they're like a People's Choice Award type thing or a Fans Award thing. We got to vote on them to get in there. They couldn't even get in on their own merits, so to speak. That's the way it was with Judas Priest. They were nominated about a year ago. They didn't get in because they were picked as like one of the bands that they wanted in the rock. They gave them like some trophy award or something. It wasn't. I forgot the name of what they gave. The excellence in music or something. They just couldn't even get in on their own merit. They had to go it was like a participation type of trophy award, and it made no sense to me. But they're from that generation where getting awarded for things means something and it's important to them. But I never put anything into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's a joke. I mean, there's more rap stars in there and more pop stars and more dance and disco stars in there than there probably are real heavy metal bands who are more closely associated with rock and roll than anything else. So I remember about 8 or 9 years ago, Sean Peck from Cage and Death Dealer, we were talking. He was going to come up with this heavy metal, award show. I forgot what he was calling it. He had a really cool name for it too. It never really panned out. It never got out of that, talking about stage. But then after that, the Golden Guards Award came out, and then this Metal Hall of Fame came out, and it was a way of honoring, I guess, the metal bands that couldn't get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So they came up with this. But even these things are the most ridiculous things in the world. Now, I just saw the Metal Hall of Fame. Like I said, none of these things mean anything to me. I don't normally care about it. But if you're going to do something like this, and because you're saying the Rock and Roll Film doesn't honor all the classic or the great metal bands of the '80s that started this whole thing, then they come out with a list of people all right, they got Dimebag Darrell in there. Okay, I completely get that. It's a 20th anniversary thing. They're putting him in there. I can understand that. Doyle. The Misfits really weren't a metal band. They were a punk band. But Doyle's been doing this for decades, and he has a lot of stuff out there going on. And he wasn't a metal band for a while, but I'm just saying, the Misfits are a punk band. Then you got Elisa White Gloves from Arch Enemy. Okay, she's been with the band about 10 years. She was another band before that for 10 years. She's kind of put her dues in, and I can see that in a way. They got Ricky Rocket. I mean, it's such a mixed bag of nuts that they put in there, but the one that got me the most, and then Dangerous Toys they put in there, just the whole band, whichever version of the band they're including, I don't know, but Jeff Young. They put Jeff Young in the Metal Hall of Fame before 10,000 other artists I could think of off the top of my head that should go in there if it means anything to them or anybody else, but it probably does, and they don't care. But, I mean, holy crap, Jeff Young, a man who played in Megadeth 35 years ago for 18 months, was on one record and never recorded another record ever again after that, never played with any metal bands that anybody even knew about or heard of, and now he's in a Megadeth cover band. How the fuck can you put him in there? Probably because he was the only one that agreed to play at the show. That's, I think, what they do is whoever agrees to play at the show when they have the award show, they'll just put them in there because they can't get anybody else, because award shows like this are nonsense, and this place just proved itself to be the biggest joke in the world. Jeff fucking Young. How do you make Jeff Young in the Metal Hall of Fame for recording one? And he didn't even write any songs on that record. He didn't write no music on that record. Nothing at all. Does this make any sense to me? I just don't get it. My mind is boggled over this. So you know what? Don't pay any attention to these awards, even the metal ones now, because they've become a joke, a bigger joke than the rock. This just made the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame look legit. That's how bad this is. To put Jeff Young in there. Holy crap on a cracker. Burton C. Bell was the other one in there. Burton did 20-something years with Fear Factor. Whether you like the band or not, he paid his dues and made a contribution to the metal scene. But Jeff Young contributed nothing to heavy metal in any way, shape, or form. This is so disgraceful, it's not even funny. I mean, oh my God. I don't even know what to say anymore. That's how bad it is. You know what I'm going to say? Christian wanted to hear Thrust, Posers Will Die, so let's send this song out to Jeff Young and all the people like him that wind up getting awarded for doing absolutely nothing in their life. Here you go, Christian. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on with that song. Christian, I'm gonna re-upload it and I'm gonna see what's happening. It's just not playing. Something's happening with it right now. So, you know what? Let's jump into something else. Who was asking about Vatican? So I don't know if it was John or Iman. They were asking about Vatican. What's going on with the band? I gotta reach out to them and see what's shaking. But let's get on some Vatican if we can. In the meantime, while we wait to see what's going on with this song, I'm just boggled over it. I can't figure it out. But here you go, Vatican, the Ripper. go. Christian, I know you wanted to hit Poses Will Die. I tried to play it twice. It keeps coming up that it's a corrupted file. I don't know what happened. I tried a different version of it. Still got the same thing, so I'll have to look into that. But I gave you Metallic Attack. You still got Thrust off that same record, so there you go. Before that, Siren, Welcome to the Grave. We kicked things off with Vatican the Ripper. I got to reach out to Vince, see what's happening with the band. He made a comment not long ago that they are working on something. I don't know why. With him, you never know. It's been a very long time. So I'll have to find out what's happening in the world of Vatican. Bands like that, they put lineups together, they're out there, but then they just like disappear for like years on end. We're not getting any younger. We don't have a lot of time left in our lives, so don't waste all this time. If you're doing it, you can still play. You're still singing the bands together. Put out new music. Re-release old music. Do something. Just get a little bit more active. Because Vatican were a great band that just kind of fell by the wayside back in the day. When I got back together, I was so happy, but they haven't done much since then. So come on, Vince, let's get things going over here. All right, we're going to do one more set of music, then get to Wicked. I guess Category 7 is that new band that has Michael Lando from Adrenaline Mob, Phil Demmel, who else in the band? Jason Bittner, Jack Gibson, and the singer from Mama St. John Bush. They just canceled the tour that they had set up for the beginning of next year. I think it was supposed to go out at the end of the winter, the beginning of the spring, for low ticket sales. At least they came out and admitted it. Why? A lot of bands just cancel things. They say it's a medical thing. I like a band say there's a medical emergency. We have to cancel a tour that we have scheduled for, April. Meanwhile, it's like November or something. You're gonna have a medical emergency 5 months from now. But at least they were honest about it. They said ticket sales were low. They weren't where they were supposed to be. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I've played this record through a couple of times. I just cannot get into it. If you think about it, all the guys that are in this band were in other bands that are well known, but they weren't like original members of those bands outside of John Bush. You know what I mean? And like they were just like Jack Gibson came in Exodus in the late '90s, I think. Phil Demmel was with Violence and Machine Head and stuff like that, and he had his thing going on. But I mean, these were never big bands. So when they call us a supergroup, all the members are known to the underground scene, but they were never like those. None of those bands were ever like big blockbuster bands who played arenas or headline places like that. Armor Saint just went out on tour with Wasp. I looked at some of the footage, and when Armor Saint were playing at a lot of places, the place was like half empty. They're not like humongous places. I mean, they're the theaters, they're nice size, but then I'm waiting to see, what, I got to go back through the Armor Saint catalog, and when I thought about it, outside of the first 2 or 3 records, everything after that Armor Saint did was drivel to me. I just could not get into anything they did after that third record. Maybe it's just me. I know people love them, and they love John Bush. John Bush started turning into Eddie Vedder, in my opinion, towards the later records that they were singing on. I couldn't dig it. I don't know. It's probably just me, but I wasn't the biggest Armor Saint fan after that third record, so I don't know how you feel about it, but Category 7, they canceled the tour. They're not going to be going out next year. Honestly, and I remember Jason Bittner when he left Overkill saying that, he really left them because he needs to focus on bands that he's like, part owner of, bands that he's invested in as an equal share member, which was Category 7. So Overkill's out there playing every night in front of pretty decent crowds, especially going out there with King Diamond on that last tour. And Jason Bittner sitting in the house not doing anything. I know Shadows Falls is his other main band, but that band's been so inactive over the years. I mean, I don't even know if you could consider it a band. I keep hearing about a new record coming out, and there will be, but I mean, they're not out there touring all the time. They're not doing a lot of stuff, so leaving Overkill was probably not the best idea. I get it. You think about it, you're a hired gun. You get a certain salary for playing for the shows. You get a certain yearly salary from other bands. I would just take it and go out when Overkill goes on a tour once or twice a year, if even that. With Dee Dee Verney being out all the time, I don't know if they're even taking the amount of tours like they used to or playing, because it's really just Bobby in there right now. I know I'm getting off topic right now. I'm just saying, Category 7 canceled the tour. None of them, I can't get into that record. Every song sounds the same to me, and it just sounds like a bunch of drivel in my opinion, but that's how I feel. Everybody's different. But talking about John Bush, I love the classic Armor Saint, those first 3 records. Let's get on March of the Saint. All right, I think we slowed things down a little bit. Letchen Gray with Bring on the Night, some Virgin Steel with Danger Zone. Wouldn't it be great to see those guys get back together, that original classic lineup when they were really a band, not just David DeFeast, writing music on his own, recording all the instruments. I would love to see that. Maybe one day, you never know. See how many bridges him and Jack burned together, but it could always happen. It could always happen. You never know. All right, let's get to this interview with Wicked. We got Danny, Chad, Gunnar, and Scotty. We're going to talk to them right now. Hey, Danny, this is Mike. How are you?
Hey, Mike, what's going on? It's me and all the boys in Wicked.
Oh, all right. I got the whole crew here today.
Hell yeah.
I absolutely love it. Hey, listen, I got to tell you guys, I saw you in Brooklyn with Angel a while back, and that was the first time I came across you, and you blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. I felt like you brought something back that's been missing for a really long time in music.
Dude, thank you so much. We appreciate that. That was an awesome show.
That was a long time ago, Jesus.
I know. Well, I don't get out that often anymore. I'm an old man these days, you know. But like I was saying, you guys really bring back that classic rock sound. You got a little bit of everything mixed in with it. You got the looks. God bless you. I mean, the hair alone is worth it. I mean, but it seems like you got everything going on musically right now for you. So, where has it been at? From like when you started out.
Well, I think it all started with just we wanted to be like this theatrical hard rock band that entertained like the greats, like we always loved, like AC/DC and Scorpions and bands like that. So we've really like taken it from there from early on, and we've been just building on it, kind of like you alluded to. We keep our influences broad, and we let our inspiration lead us with our creating, and that's been a good way to look at the process, and it keeps us together too, Mike. I think it's because we're loving what we're doing, we're enjoying it, and there's no rules, and there's no record company or anybody telling us what to do, how to do it, and what fad to chase. We're just being our authentic selves.
And that's the most important thing. I mean, you guys really are a do-it-yourself outfit. I mean, you kind of do everything on your own. Is that the best way to go today, or is it really the only way to go? Because there really is no record label support.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, it's especially the way to go right now. Or let me put it this way: it's working for us because, I guess if we had nothing else in our lives, Mike, and we didn't mind being hungry and poor on the road and just living day to day on a nickel, yeah, the record companies might be a perfect way to go. They're going to take all the money. Everybody's got a handout ready for something, and the artist is maybe gets a couple scraps, but they get to play. For us, having control over what we're doing and really having our hands ourselves on every aspect of the business and what we do, we not only get a lot of gain of knowledge of what all that goes into it, but we can make our own decisions and we can choose what we want to do and how we want to do it. And I think it's unique. I think it is a bit of a new model. You see a lot of bands going into it nowadays. And if you could find a way to fund it yourself or through somebody who's interested in supporting you that's not a big company, and you could control your say in what you do, it's a unique situation. I'll tell you what, it's not easy though, but we're fortunate to have each other.
That's an important thing. I mean, it can only go two ways. There's too much of something and there's too little of it. And I remember going back to the early days of the scene when it was starting out, and you had bands that would play every night somewhere. No matter what club was open, that same band would play every night. Then you had other bands that were at the same level, just starting out, that would do a show here and there. And, sometimes they drew a bigger crowd because they gave people what they wanted less often. When the other band would say, hey, we can see these guys every night a week, I'm not going to go tonight. Is there a middle ground where enough is enough but not too much of enough?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. There is, it's just, that's why we're trying to like do our own thing and not necessarily, we want to build, I think at the end of the day, we want to build a rock and roll scene, or let me rephrase that. We want to build a community of people that enjoy being together, no matter what walk of life they're from. And they know that, under the Wicked Rock and Roll, brand, that they could get out of their day to day and come together, and they're going to be amongst friends and family in that scene. And I think that's what we hope our music and what we're doing does. And we're not necessarily trying to fit into a certain genre or trend. You know what I mean? We're just, like you said, sometimes too much is too much. We're trying to be unique in what we do, you know?
True, and I don't think you really can define your music and what you're doing, because I can't say it's all over the place. It's very distinctive in what you have going on. But I mean, look, you played with Angel. I don't think you could have fit two better bands together on the same bill. Then you were just out on tour with Raven and Vicious Rumors, bands that are completely different musically than you guys, but yet you manage to fit in no matter where you go. So that says something about what you're doing, that you could play in front of any audience and kind of win them over with your music.
And that's a great statement. I totally agree with you. And it was definitely a challenge. I'll tell you, like, there were nights when, you had a crowd in front of you that was, kind of that mentality of, dare to entertain me. You know what I mean? And you go up and you just do what you do. You be authentic. And at the end of the night, we won them all over. And that was the most rewarding part, I think, of that Raven tour is to your point, is just proving to ourselves and to everybody else that, we believe in what we're doing, and that people love it. You know what I mean? And once they see it with their own eyes. That's why I always say, you got to get out to a live show, just like you did at that Angel show. There's nothing comparable to seeing us on stage live.
No, there really isn't. I mean, in the days before the internet, bands had to play live to get people to come out and see them. And you went to the club sometimes not even knowing who was playing, but you just wanted to hear good music and you knew you were going to get it. Today you have the internet. A lot of people research bands. They pick and choose before they go out. To me, that kind of stinks, because you're missing that live experience.
Exactly.
Not good like that. Things like that have to start changing. But is it getting harder to play live these days? I mean, I think starting to dwindle down club-wise. COVID put a real damper on a lot of stuff, especially like with the venues. How do you feel it is right now? Is it coming back a little bit? Is it starting to pick up again?
I think it's coming back, don't you guys?
Yeah.
Don't you boys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely.
Definitely coming back. You see more people going out, and I think it's a great thing to bounce back from that. Those were some pretty hard times, and I just get excited. We're looking at, this upcoming album we're going to release in 2025. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on, and we're looking to put a campaign together, some touring to support it. There's a lot going on out there. There's a lot of good bands back out playing, and I just keep saying, to the fans, right, is, like I said, get your butts out there. Let's enjoy, those moments together.
True. Sunburn, I mean, didn't it really come out like 2 years ago officially?
Yeah. Which one's that? So we had Last American Rock Band come out a couple of years ago. That was our first official release, coming out of 2020. And then we just dropped Sunburn, I think it's this March, right?
Yeah.
March, yeah. And that was just before the tour with Raven. So, we put that out digitally, CD, vinyl, old school, right? And that's been great. We've seen an awesome response. People really dig in. I'd say there's a bit of an alternative edge or aspect to it. But you see people, I mean, we went to Mexico City to finish off the tour with Raven, and it was like Beatlemania. It was the coolest thing us boys saw. I mean, right, guys? It was like, there were like people bootlegging Wicked posters and like swarming us for pictures.
Waiting outside the hotel.
Yeah.
And, just kind of swarming us, wanting, pictures, signatures. And it was really cool. And getting to meet fans that, you probably had for years. And finally, you get down to their city. And you had, I mean, even down there, you had people drive, 5-6 hours just to come see us in Mexico City.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yes, so it was very cool, and you even every now and then, remember that time, guys, we were in Planet Fitness, and that guy came up and goes, "Hey, are you guys that band Wicked that sings the song Sunburn? My friend just told me about this song." Like,
yeah,
and we get that all the time now, so it's pretty cool.
It's got to make you feel good when somebody comes up to you and recognizes you and your music. I mean, that's what you do this for. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
And that's a great thing. Was that your first time going down to Mexico to play?
It was, yeah, super exciting. We can't wait to go back.
They live and breathe it down there. I mean, it's the way it used to be here in the 80s. Down anywhere in South America, they live for this music. Like I said, they'll travel 5 hours to see a band. Over here, you can't get people to go from Brooklyn to Manhattan anymore.
Yeah, I know, right? It's too funny. It's so true.
So, like with the Raven tour, I mean, how difficult is it to put a tour like that together and get on? I mean, it's not something you can do all the time, but when you can, do you really have to capitalize on and make the most out of it from place to place?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so much work, right? I mean, that business end of things is tough. The politics, the logistics, the finances that go into it. I think even like the unsung stories of doing something like that we went through is just even just sitting down beforehand and saying like, okay, how are we going to get from place to place? Are we getting in an RV? Do we need a trailer? Like mapping it out. Where are we going to stay? And we got smart about it. We got creative and we used Planet Fitness passes, and that was our way to get a workout in and shower because we weren't going to get hotels. There was no time to. Every day you were in a different city. So you would finish your show and load out at like 1-2 o'clock in the morning, and somebody was driving, rotating on and off while the other people slept in the RV to the next city, and then you load in at 2. So it is a lot of work, but I'll tell you what, the road is rewarding because of the people you get to see and the discipline that it takes as a band and as a crew to keep things together and to stay on top of your game for sure.
What our parents always taught us is to be kind to people, and that's how you make connections in the business.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is if you're good people and you be good people to other people, that's the key at the end of the day, right?
Very true. I mean, there are a lot of people you could hire in this business, from press agents to online marketing promotion companies. But doing it yourself, like I said, if you network with the right people, you make friends with another band, you get close, and then you realize they've got a lot of connections too. And that's kind of how it filters down through the whole scene. And one day you'll be doing the same thing for bands that are young and up and coming like you guys were at the time.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So, I mean, how's the scene in Rochester these days? I mean, upstate New York had an amazing rock scene in the 80s. Everybody, I mean, Gunnar's father, Roy, and DC Strutter, I had him on my show many times over the years. I mean, the Rods came from that way. Dio, I mean, so many great bands came from that area. Is it still a pretty vibrant scene for a band to start out in today?
There's definitely a scene. I think people are starting to rediscover a little bit more of, going out to see live shows again. There's probably a little bit of time there where it died out, and but there's still that struggle with people wanting to go to these silent discos or see DJs and just dance around. But there's definitely like a scene, and people starting to rediscover that live show in Rochester.
Yeah, and I think it's coming back. The youth movement behind rock and roll, or the variations of it. You know what I mean? Like, I think a big thing too is you got in music in general, you got people that get caught up in the call it legacy nostalgic acts, right? These big bands that are cashing in on their 15th farewell tour, and that really digs into people's pocketbooks and time. You know what I mean? People got families and lives and stuff to do. So, it's about reminding people that, the Kisses of the world, the Motley Crues, they didn't just appear one day, right? Like, you got to support up and coming music and get out there, and there's something to that. And I see it. I see our contemporaries, they're putting in the hard work, and that's what it's all about. And when people get out there and see that, they're going to appreciate it.
True. I mean, you just mentioned new music coming out for next year. I mean, if you take the Last American Rock Band and Sunburn, I mean, there's a similarity between all your music because that you guys writing it, but yet everything's a little different than it. Even the Hellraiser single that just came out a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it seems like you're always moving on musically. You don't repeat yourselves, but there's that continuity because you guys are writing the music. So with the new record and the new songs, is it moving on from Sunburn, or is it just a continuation of where you left off?
No, that's a great question. I think I got a question earlier today on another interview, is Hellraiser an indicator of what the new album will sound like? And I'll tell you, I think you kind of laid it out there really well. It's not, we're not rehashing the same thing, but we're evolving and we're building off of it. But it does have that wicked core hard rock stamp on it. So there's familiarity there, but you're going to see on this new album, it's going to be fun. We're throwing in some heavy songs mixed in with, some real commercial pop ones, but they have that edge. What can you always guarantee you're going to have from Wicked? You're going to have that that iconic hard-hitting drums that Gunnar has. It's just, he's like, to me, I always say, like, he's like just the heart of the band, right? You're going to always count on that, like this level of like just complete, and utter supreme drumming. Then you're going to have the guitar stamp that is really unique. It's very, very familiar to the Thin Lizzy style, but Chad and Scotty with their guitars and twin guitar work, you're going to see a lot of that. And our writing is just, I think it's getting exciting, like I said, because we're letting things influence us, and it's less intentional. What I mean by that is we don't go out and say, we have to write a radio song like this, or we have to write a song like this band. But we don't go in with a pre-thought intention, but we have this influence that we allow in. And when the influence comes and it's good, that's what gets put on an album. And I'm excited to say that the new album coming this year is going to have a lot of that and maybe even more.
That's a great thing. I find it funny that a lot of people will sit there and say when a band mentions about being commercial, writing a poppy song and stuff like that, it's a turnoff to them. But who gets into a band to write songs that nobody cares about, nobody wants to listen to, and nobody wants to hear? I mean, it's just not the way it goes. You want to get the songs on the radio. You want to get the music heard. That's how. I mean, Kiss didn't sit in the room saying, "Let's write music that nobody's going to like because we just want to write it like that." You write songs that are catchy so people can sing it, remember it, and get into it. Isn't that the whole point of being in a band?
It is. You're absolutely right. I mean, and I think it starts at home, right? Like if you really like what you're writing and you want to listen to it, that's a good indicator that you're on the right path and others are going to like it. So I always love our writing process. It's very fluid and very natural. We'll all just hang out in a living room and just start writing, and maybe one guy or a different guy comes up with something, we just build off of it naturally.
Yeah. Does everybody know, the place of the band? Because, they get 3, 4, 5 people together to form a band. In the beginning, maybe they say, hey, let's go in this direction. Musically, let's be like this or do that. And it works out. But then as, guys grow up and they get into different music, things start happening. They stray away from that sound, and it could cause arguments, bands fall apart, things fight. I mean, you take AC/DC. AC/DC's written the same record over and over again for 50 years.
Yeah.
People still buy them. People love it. They don't change their sound, their style, or nothing. Then you get other bands that kind of stray from it, and they lose a lot of fans, but they gain a lot. Metallica, for example, not the Metallica of the first few records, but they've gained even more fans. They're doing better now than they ever did back in the early days. So do you guys get together and say, hey, this is like the direction we want this band to go in and stay in, and we're going to keep it that way? Or is it, hey, you know what, things are changing, let's kind of evolve with the times?
I think it's a mix, I mean, the thing that keeps us together and excited about it and not at odds with the evolution is I think we found a way that if we're being influenced differently, or we're feeling evolved into a different path or sway with direction, it always ends up getting, we blend it really well into, again, what we do. So I think at the end of the day, to us, it always still sounds like Wicked. So it doesn't ever feel like we're selling out and completely cutting bait and going in a huge different direction. You know what I mean? And I think as long as, we're all excited about what we're doing, those little nuances of things that come in and end up changing ends up being really cool for us and exciting rather than adversarial, if you will.
True. Well, you guys have anything coming up we only got about 5 or 6 weeks left in the year, but anything happening this year? I know in January you're heading out to California, you're going to be playing Metal Allegiance. That should be a great show.
Yeah, we're going to close out the year locally here in Rochester with a little hometown cap to the year. It's going to be at the Lux Lounge on 666 South Ave. Place is not our normal place to play because it's not a huge stage like we like. Our show is super theatrical and athletic, but Lux is going to be very intimate, and it's just us. We're doing 2 hours for the fans. It's going to be wall to wall with a bunch of young people and people just hungry for a real down and dirty rock and roll show. And it's going to be cool because we'll do all the songs off the albums that are out now, Last American Rock Band, Sunburn, some of the singles like Hellraiser, but we're going to give them a little bit of a surprise and have a bunch of new songs in there. Maybe stuff from the upcoming album as a teaser, maybe even some stuff we've been demoing. So I think people really I'm starting to see a movement with Wicked fans where they almost could count on it and they look forward to it, where they're like, I wonder what new song they're going to debut and like tease at this show. And I got to be at the show because I don't want to miss it, because I know they're not going to release it for, maybe several months. So I always find that cool. We'll be doing that on Friday the 13th in Rochester, New York at Lux. And then, yeah, you said it, man. I mean, we're going out to the House of Blues with Metal Allegiance. What a group of extremely talented people. It's an honor for us to be playing that show in front of the industry there at the NAMM convention. All I could say is that show is going to be big, bad, and just like something you've never seen before from Wicked. It's going to be high energy rock and roll at its finest, and we're super excited to show that crowd just what we're all about.
Oh, that's going to be a great show. I wish I could have been there for that one. I mean, when you guys got started, did you always say to yourselves, we want to be theatrical, we want to put on that big show? Because, so many bands have done, like Alice Cooper, Kiss, the New York Dolls, they all had, it was imagery and music mixed together that just created this show. So is that something that you always had planned, that you said, hey, we got to be more than just the music? It has to be a whole show around it also?
That's what we've been drawn to since, we discovered rock and roll. I'd say, speaking for all of us, it's funny how you find, four guys in a really odd time, who like rock and roll and like all the same like type of theatrical rock and roll and want to do it for real and make their own version of it.
I'll be honest, it doesn't feel right to get up there for us and not have the look, the entertainment, the moves, everything along with the music. It's almost like if you walked into a room naked, right? Like, it's a part of what we do, and it's a part of what makes us. It's like a hockey player wouldn't go on the ice without his skates, right? You know what I mean? And that's just it. We don't go up there in cargo shorts and t-shirts. We go up there looking like rock stars. Like we're gonna give you the show that you're never gonna forget.
I mean, we don't even like going outside like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in New York, boy. You remember Twisted Sister back in the '70s? Like, imagine them just wearing like jeans and t-shirts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
It doesn't work. Yeah, it's like when MTV came out, all the bands like, oh, this is gonna kill everything because it's visual now, and it's taken away from the music. But all the bands before that, most of them were visual. Like we said, Kiss put on that big show, Alice Cooper put on the show, Cheap Trick, the New York Dolls. There was always a show, whether it was small an act or big like theatrical, like Broadway type of show. It was always around, and people. I kind of missed that in the '80s when bands started moving away from that and became just flannel shirts and dungarees. I kind of missed that, that big production. So if you guys had an unlimited amount of money, I mean, where do you think you would take that show?
Oh, I mean, we actually have been talking a lot about this lately, for real, because you got to be ready to do everything that you want to, and so we've really been putting together kind of a design for this live show that's going to start happening in the future that we're going to graduate to, and it's going to have everything from like just lighting and cold sparks and visual, like high quality visual, like screens, LED screens, and some hot chicks doing some backup singing, the whole thing. We want to get back to a show like that. You know what I mean? We want to bring that back, and there's no one out there that could do it the way we could do it. We've got the team around us. We've got the dreams in our heads. We know what we want to do, and we're going to put pen to paper. And I'm telling you, in the coming years, you're going to start seeing it, and it's super exciting. I can't wait for it to happen.
You won me over with hot chicks singing background. I didn't need to hear anything more than that.
There you go.
Anything else you do besides that doesn't matter anymore. That's all you need. Hey, but guys, I'm going to let you go. I want to play a couple of songs off the record when I hear it on the show this weekend. I mean, such a big fan. I can't wait for next year when this new record comes out. I'm excited. I can't wait for it.
We really appreciate the support, and thank you so much for having us on. Always love talking with you.
Thanks,
it's
Mike.
My pleasure, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, rock on, man. See you.
right, there you go. Wicked with Sunburn. Want to thank the guys for being on tonight's show. Next week is actually the last live guest for 2024, Phil Susan from The Last in Line and Ozzy Osbourne and Wildfire. We'll be talking to Phil next Sunday night, so don't forget to tune in for that show. Then we have our Christmas special, our New Year's Eve, I'm getting all tongue tied here. New Year's Eve special, Happy Hair Metal, which is going to be on the live show the last Sunday of the month. So don't forget to tune in for all of that. Okay, the last thing that's been chapping my ass today that I want to get off my chest, and it's usually the same thing with me about these cover bands or bands that don't have any original members left in it or one original member or whatever it may be. I saw Tony Dolan. Now listen, I love Tony Dolan. He's a great guy. Been on the show many times over the years. Love talking to him. This guy goes all out for the fans. He really does. And I was lucky enough to see Empire of Evil, the last two tours they did here in the U.S. before changing over to Venom Inc. But he posted on his Facebook page the other day that he's never been in a cover band with pictures of the albums that he's been on, like the Adam Kraft records and I guess the Empire of Evil records. And then he made another post, kind of similarly saying the same thing, that he'll never stop doing what the fans want and he's going to give them what they want and blah, blah, blah. Then he put copies of the Venom Inc. album covers on there. Now here's the thing. Yes, Tony was in Venom. He was in a much later era of Venom with Mantis and Abaddon for about 4 or 5 years, I think. During the Primeval era, they did 2 albums after that also. I wasn't crazy about those records when they came out. I kind of grew into the Primeval record many, many, many years later, if not a decade or two after it came out. But Tony's a great guy. But listen, they had, it was Primeval was the band that he had formed maybe in 2010. That went on for a couple of years, and then they changed the name to Empire of Evil because I think there was something with another band, Primeval. It might have been the one here from New York. I don't remember that far back, but they changed it to Empire of Evil, put out 2 really good solid records. I saw them on tour. And him and Mantis from the band. I think Mark Jackson was playing drums back then, or Anton, who was also a member of Venom on drums at one point in their own career. Kronos' brother. So I saw them twice, on the tour. They were great. I love them. They mixed in a lot of Venom songs because they only had, I think, 1 album out the first time I saw them. So it was a good mix of what was on that record and some Venom tours. They did some of the Primeval stuff, some of the classic stuff, and it was pretty cool just to hear those songs as they were doing their own Empire of Evil songs, which is really what I wanted to see because that's what I was there for. Then, some promoter, we had Mantis on last year, and, Jeff was talking about how, some promoter made them this thing where, hey, turn it to Venom Inc. and let's do a Venom reunion, blah, blah, blah. And, it was the promoter for Keep It True Festival, and Mantis says, I didn't really want to do it. I didn't want to use the name. I didn't want to go by it. But, he just kind of gave in and went with it, and he was never happy about it. And he said that here in that show that he didn't want to do it. He wasn't happy about doing that. But he went along with it. He didn't know where it was going to go. So it turned into 2 albums, and, he has his health issues. He left the band about a month or so ago. And, everybody's like, well, he left because of his health. He had to take care of himself, and his wife was also sick at the time. And then he said, but there were other reasons. The other reason was that he didn't really want to do it. He didn't really want to use the name and go out under that name. He just didn't want to do it. So he's out of the band. Abaddon's been out for a couple of years now. It's only Tony Dolan in the band. They should not be using the name Venom Inc. So when he put up that post, a lot of other bands and a lot of other musicians kind of looked like they got upset about him saying I was never in a cover band before, and they took offense to it because a lot of them were in cover bands. And it looked like he removed that part of it but left the post up there. So here's the thing, go back to using the name Empire of Evil. It should have never been changed to accommodate one promoter. And I love it because all the people that comment on his post, listen, if I was talking to Tony Perez, I would say the same thing to him. I love everything he does. I would love to see him get back with Adam Kraft again and do that as, put Adam Kraft back and make that his thing. But it's not going to happen. And people are like, well, I never got to see Venom back in the day, so I love it that you're doing this because I get to see Venom. But you're not seeing Venom. You're seeing Tony Dolan, who was, a much later era singer in Venom and bass player. You're not seeing Venom. You're not seeing Kronos, Abaddon, and Mantis. You're seeing a different version of Venom. This isn't Venom. If you think you're seeing Venom, you're highly mistaken. It's not Venom. It's Venom Inc., which is a tribute band to Venom, I guess you could call it now. So you're not getting Venom. You're getting Venom Inc. I think I made this analogy once before. It was a movie called The Late Show, which was about the late night TV host talk wars that went on when Johnny Carson was retiring. A lot of people that are under the age of 40 probably know what I'm talking about, but there was a movie about it because there was this big thing because, it was going to be either David Letterman or Jay Leno, and went back and forth who's going to get the job, and they gave it to Jay Leno, and David Letterman was upset, but he went to CBS, started his own show over there, and it became bigger than the Tonight Show at a certain point in time. But the whole thing is that when Jay Leno's show was bombing out, when Jay Leno's Tonight Show was bombing out and it wasn't happening and it wasn't working out, NBC went to David Letterman and to his management and offered the show to him. So they told him about it, and he says to them, he goes, I want this. I want this more than anything in the world. I want to be the host of the Tonight Show. And their answer was, but you're not getting the Tonight Show. You're not getting the Johnny Carson Tonight Show. You're getting the Jay Leno Tonight Show. It's damaged goods. And that's the same analogy you use for these bands. You're not getting Venom. You're not getting the Kronos, Mantis, Abaddon Venom. You're getting a Tony Dolan version of Venom. It's not Venom. It's damaged goods. Change the name back to Empire of Evil. Keep putting out the great music you're putting out, Tony, and let this Venom Inc. go by. This is why I rant and rave, especially about a lot of these festivals, because there's the one in Germany that I just talked about. They try to get bands back together with little to no original members just so they can say they did something with it. Either that or because they're just running out of bands to put on the festival. So let's get Ride 5 for the 50,000th time to play a festival, even though there's no original members left in there. And little by little, if you notice, every other festival, instead of it saying Ride 5, it just says Ride. Little by little, they're weeding out the 5 and just making it Riot. But talking about Riot, Michael Todd Hall, who's a great guy and an amazing singer, he just did a cover of Take Hold of the Flame. If you go to his Facebook page, you can catch a copy of it. Holy crap. I mean, this guy is absolutely amazing. You cannot deny this man his vocal ability in any way, shape, or form. He did Take Hold of the Flame better than Jeff Tate did it back in the day. Queensryche should have got him to be the singer of their band. That's who they should have got, not the other guy who was really just a clone of Jeff Tate. That's why they got him in there. It was like a Judas Priest Ripper type of thing, Instead of him, they should have went with Todd Michael Hall. I mean, they would have had a much better shot with him, I think, in my opinion. What an amazing job. Go check it out on his page. Go to Todd's Facebook page and check out his cover of Take Hold of the Flame. All right, let's get into another set of music. John said it was dealer's choice, so we're going to play some Whiplash. But first, let's do a little Tyrant with Nazarene.
knife. His name is Jack. They call him the Ripper. In his quest, you better watch out, ladies. Reluctance on his life again. He thinks he can remember when little girls call him friend until they know him till the end. I think he's wearing black tonight. Don't know where he's gonna strike. His name is Jack. They call him the Ripper. In his quest, you better watch out, ladies. Here he comes. That's enough for London town. Copper's gonna track him down. Everybody wants him dead. He's got a price on his head. Disappeared to London fog. Now he's gone, but not for long. Name is Jack. They called him the Ripper. In his quest, you better watch out, ladies. Watch out. Ripper, 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 Ripper.
Frigid Bitch and Jack the Ripper. Joe Lennon used to be on the show all the time in the early days when I first started doing it. We were always in contact with each other, but I don't know what happened. We just lost touch. We haven't touched base in a long time. But Mike, who was his brother, who was also in the band for a while, had a band called Damaged, and their earlier demos have just been re-released. Maybe next week we'll do a little, we'll play some of that. We'll talk about it a little bit more. We're running out of time right now, so we got to wrap things up. I want to thank the guys from Wicked for being on tonight's show. I do appreciate that. Don't forget next week the last live guest for 2024, Phil Susan from The Last in Line and Ozzy and a lot of other bands. He played with Vince Neil. I forget all about that sometimes, and Billy Idol. Phil's been in a lot of things, so we'll have Phil on the show next week, and then we're going to wrap it up with our 2 holiday specials. And that's it for 2024. You have to forgive me if I'm stuttering and stumbling over things. I'm still trying to figure out how to work everything here on Mixler. And as I'm trying to talk to you, I'm trying to figure out how to get the next song lined up and how to put things in the queue. So I get a little confused. So hopefully in another week or two, we'll have it all nailed down and we'll be much better at it. We can keep flowing. Not like we were on Spreaker, right? Okay, we're going to wrap it up here right now. I want to wish my beautiful bride of over 32 years, my wife Lisa, a very happy birthday. She's 62 years old today and still as hot as the day I met her. I love that woman. So, baby, happy birthday to you. We got to spend the whole day today with the family, going out for lunch, brunch with Santa today, and it was nice to see everybody. So, to my bride, let's play UFO Too Hot to Handle. Take care, everybody. I'll see you next week.